God bless. Christ is risen. For those who have not followed this before, or who have forget, or who won't um, retake it from the beginning, we are following Egeria, one pilgrim from Spain, from today's Spain, who went to Holy Land and have there described, make a diary. And there is especially also one chapter about liturgy of the early church. She went there in the second half of the fourth century, so it's really the first official things of the church that we are living. And we were seeing in the last week, the Holy Week, every day how it was prepared. I could not take it the last days because of people coming confessing and other things, so I hope you forgive me. But to see now what has happened after in this week in the church after, we will follow a little Egeria, like we were doing before, but also I wanted to be much more focused on the things that was used during the passion and after that we have the, we can say, that we can touch, but also some places, maybe some people. And in this I want to follow one book especially, or two, that is in Polish, but I will try to translate as much as I can. But he is of course taking some international studies, so it's everything to find in English also, or in other languages. It's look like this, and it's called The Witnesses of the Mystery, and research about all the relics of Jesus Christ. And then there is another book, Jesus Christ and His Two Shroud's. It's looked like this. It's not so much text in this, so I will just show some pictures, not all, of course. But this is what we are going to take most. There is also one book in English about the Holy Shroud in Turin. So this will be the books that we will follow now in these coming days, those of you who want to listen. But also about the Holy Sunday, the Resurrection Sunday, there is nothing nearly in Egeria. It's day of feast. She is only writing that Saturday, it's nearly nothing, that after so many fasting periods and praying during the night, so uh, it's here that children, that's those who are baptized, they are going inside the spring, and they, when they come out from the spring, they are led by the bishop, and then bishop are praying with them, and then they go to the big church when the whole crowd is, and then the vigil is ending in the morning. So this is what we have about the Holy Sunday of Resurrection. And then she's writing about the Holy Week, this week of Passover. So the 8 days of Passover, it's here like in our place. In all the places, in all the churches, it's the same rituals. In Anastasis, at the cross, in the big church. And in this day, everyone's come together in the church. In the big church, it is martyrium. Also, the second and the third day, and then from there they go to Anastasis. The fourth day they go to Eleona, the fifth day back to Anastasis, the sixth day to Sion, and Saturday to the cross. In these 8 days, the bishop, after breakfast, he's always going to Elona together with the priests and all children, the neophytes, those who have been baptized during this Easter, uh, together with other monks and those of the people who want to follow him. And then he is praying hymns um, in the grotto where Jesus was teaching. When they finish all the psalms and prayers in evening, when there is the Vespers, they go to Anastasis with hymns, and this is for 8 days. And when they come there, according to day and place, they read always the Gospels from this day. Then they pray. Um, so it's also written that from Easter to Pentecost, it means to the coming of Holy Spirit, no one is fasting. Even those who are doing this normally whole time. So this is what we have about the time of resurrection. That not means that it's less important, but of course the Holy Week was very special. Every day it was something else. So this what we have the information as is you remember the different churches here, the big church or martyrium, Anastasis or the cross. Now it's in this one big church of Holy Grave. But then there was different churches and they was going between this. And the other churches, Eleona, it was the place where Jesus was teaching, so the church of our Father, probably. Then Sion, it's the where the Last Supper was. And it's also find that no one was fasting because of the joy of resurrection. But it's also, if you remember, it was a lot about the catechesis that was given to catechumens before baptism, so explaining everything. But there was very clearly said that the bishop said to those who were preparing for baptism, about the baptism and other mysteries you will not hear now. It's it's forbidden. It's not like something secret, but that first they have to leave this. They have to have this experience by themselves, and then it was explained. If not, it could be very just intellectual thing to receive the sacraments, or one would make his mind up how it will be and so on. And so the church was very firm in this, that the explanation of what has happened it's after baptism. So when the Eastern Passover have come, and 8 days um, after that the people have been sent away after the morning prayer, uh, the bishop give his blessing to all the faithful, and then bishop is standing holding the galler in his hand inside the grotto of Anastasis. That will means the Church of Resurrection, or the Holy Grave, the chapel, the small chapel. That was a bigger church then. And he's explaining everything that is about the baptism. In this hour, no catechumen have admittance to Anastasis. There are only going there the neophytes, those who have been baptized this Easter, and the faithful. who want to listen about these mysteries. The doors are closed, so no catechumen will get in. And this is everything is talked about very detailed uh, and explained so good that there are voices of admiration, and you can hear them outside of the church. Because when the mysteries are revealed, there is no one who is not touched by what he is hearing. And because in this part, some of people knows Greek and Syrian, and some of them knows only Greek, and some knows only Syrian. The bishop, even if he knows Syrian, he is talking in Greece, like English in our days, but never in Syrian. That's why it's always a priest present, and whatever bishop says in Greek, he is translating in Syrian. So everyone can understand what he is teaching about. When he is reading a lesson that you need to read in Greek, um, there is always someone who is translating this to Syrian. So everyone in the people can follow the teaching. Also, those who speak only Latin and don't know Greek or Syrian, they should not be worried because they are also taught. Because they are here, some brothers and sisters knowing Greek and Latin, and they translate them everything to Latin. Very beautiful is that uh, before of all hymns, antiphons, readings, and also prayers that the bishop have, they are according to the day and place where they are received or what is happening this day. So I think for now we leave Egeria. Maybe we will come back to her for other motives that we we can find. But for now, I just wanted to say something about this. It's um, very important is teaching for the catechumens, for neophytes, um, so they can understand, so they can deeply live through also the mysteries that they have been living in the Eastern nights, the baptism, the anointment with oil, communion. It was all given in one moment. So this was all explained. We have catechesis of church fathers, beautiful about this. And about the Eastern, it's interesting a book of Ratzinger that is called Images of Hope, where he explained our creed. And when he is talking about Passover, Eastern, about resurrection, he begins with Faust. I don't know if you have read Faust, but Faust was a man searching for fulfillment. He wanted to have it all. So the devil um, invite him to try everything, the culture, sex, and so on, or all other things. And then in the end, when he sees that everything is empty, that nothing really can fill him, can give him this fulfillment that he is searching, so he wants to suicide himself. He is holding poison is he in his hand, and he want to drink that. In this moment, he hear the bells from the church, from the resurrection mass ringing, and he he's not drinking this cup of poison. And even if he's saying nothing has changed, I see the darkness as it was before, but he is not drinking this poison, so something has changed. And we were reading today that a woman was, or some woman was at the grave. And in this book, Ratzinger is also saying that this woman is the church. In many languages, the church is feminine, like in Italian, but also in Greek. Um, so it has always been seen like the bride of Jesus, the bridegroom, the, the beloved one. Also, St. Paul is talking in this way about the church and Christ, about this relationship. But he's saying that the church should be this woman that is receiving this joy, even if not understanding everything, even if it's too much, maybe, even if it's, how can we say, not believing it yet totally, but she's going to tell about this to others. And Ratzinger is saying this, it's also the church that should go in this way, even if we don't understand fully what have happened, even if we don't see it, even if we don't follow totally with our mind or with our preparation, but to go and bring this. But also Ratzinger says in this that it's very important to see that to be the church, to be Christian, to be a witness of resurrection is to not be in one place, but to to have this even difficulty to follow up. And he's saying, and in this, the church, seeing this, have made the catechumenate, the time of preparation, of catechesis, that could follow, that could prepare people, because many times we are blocked at what we have heard at first communion or confirmation. But so also we who are baptized, we need to be leaded in guided into a deeper understanding, to a deeper living of all these signs. So of course the catechumenate, it was for the preparation for baptism, but in the church there are also other realities now that are helping to come back to the beauty of the baptism. For example, neo-catechumenate way, it's not repeating the baptism or any other ritus or part of it, but it's helping to live it through and to take it to my life. Why and how this is connected with my life. Because I think I didn't make it in English about the Holy Thursday. I was reading there from Nigeria how the preparation of the catechumens, those who would be baptized this Easter. So Holy Thursday, they was like received, they was approved as candidates to be, and also those who have been in penitence, they were coming back, they was received by the bishop back in the communion. But talking about the catechumens, Egeria was saying that the bishop was asking this person and people standing around, especially the godparents, that was called the garants in this time, that he was asking, is this person truthful? Is he drinking? Is he under some kind of slavery? If he is or she, well, then go be better, and next year you will come. And it was absolutely not that this person have to, by own hands, win over this sin, but it was much more seen as, okay, baptism we are giving to those who have received the Spirit of God, who in whom God have already worked and made something. So the baptism was received like a sigil on this, because it's one of the biggest problems also of the church today, the divorce between faith and love and life, everyday life. It's also a very beautiful book of Lewis, The Great Divorce. um, so to not have this, but that the life of every person would be also the testimony of the resurrection of our faith. Okay, so this was just to explain it more. So the church was saying that we need this time of catechesis, of introduction. Jesus self was saying, baptize them and teach them everything that I have taught you. But okay, this is to come back to the readings of today, to the Eastern. Uh, it's really interesting, the first reading of today. If you have read it, if you remember, St. Peter begins to talk, to talk about resurrection. That this Jesus who you have killed, he is now alive, and and this is the big news that they are coming with. Even when there is the judgment of Paul in one in the Acts of Apostles, the only thing that the governor have understood of all the speech that Paul was, that he is saying that one person that died is alive, and the others are saying that not. So this was really the centrum of everything. And Peter is saying, and the patriarch David died, because there is one psalm that is saying, my servant will not go through the destruction of the death. And Peter is saying, and his grave is here, the grave of David. So it's saying, so he could not talk about himself. He must have talked about someone else. So, of course, we can take it as prophecy, that he have seen this forward, or have understood something, or God have inspired him to say this according to someone else. So the church, the early church, to use to talk about resurrection to the Jewish people, they were talking about the grave of David. And it's really interesting because maybe you have been in Jerusalem, um, under the room that was served for the Last Supper, according to tradition and to the knowledge we have. And above is a synagogue with the grave of David. And just to say, this grave of David, we don't know really where the real grave has been. With all the political and historical, cultural things that has happened in Holy Land through the centuries, there are many things that we really cannot say 100% being sure. But when the Franciscans came, and the Franciscans came there because Saladin was so touched by St. Francis that came in peace, not as the knights, the Templars, but he came without weapon. He came by himself. So Saladin gave the Franciscans right to be there in Holy Land, and it has been so from the to up to today. And many Franciscans have given their life to keep these holy places, so we can go now there in pilgrimage, so we can see these places, visit them, so it can help us to pray, to understand, to have a deeper not only feeling, but to could see at the place where it has happened. So we have to be grateful really to Franciscans for this. But they made this grave of David so so as testimony for the resurrection of Christ. They wanted to have a symbol, a physical symbol of this. They were not saying, here is David's body, but they were saying the grave of David is here. Like saying, okay, this is the symbol of that David have died, that is not about him. And when the Jews have come to the Holy Land, to Palestine after the war, they make of it that here is really the grave of King David. So now there is a lot of people going there, praying there, and it's not that their prayer is empty, of course not, because it's also giving them memory, hope about the great things that God have made through David. But just to say how interesting it is, and also complicated, because now the room of the Last Supper, also there where Jesus went through the closed door to meet the apostles, where they were closed there, um, of fear of the Jews, and also when Pentecost was. So it's a really important place for Christians. But now it's in the hand of Muslims, and you cannot pray there, or officially not. And so it also depends very much of how much they want to permit it and how much not. So this just to come in this talks about the physical places, about the physical things that are a memory or testimony of Jesus' life, death, passion, resurrection. And in the gospel of today, we have also a very interesting thing that when Jesus was talking with the women near the grave, and he was sending them to the apostles, so the guards, they went to talk with the priests, because as you maybe remember, the high priest of Jewish people, they went to Pilate and said, okay, now we remember that he was saying that he will come back to live, that he will destroy the death. So this would be even much worse than the first lie, that he is the Son of God. So permit us to put the guards there, to put the cement around, or what they were using, to put your sigil, that if someone break it, he's going to prison. And Pilate said, okay, do what you want. Here you have my guards. So these guards, when they have seen the resurrection, they went to the priest and said, okay, he have come back. So they said, okay, we will give you a lot of money. So you go and just say that this is that the disciples came during the night and they stole the body. And they, for the money, they went there. And then and the priest said, if your chieftain will say something about this, we will talk with them, the captains, we will talk with them, and we will pay for them, and to them, and so on. So this about money, about also denying the resurrection of Christ, because it's very clear Jesus is saying one thing, that is, you cannot serve God and something else, and this is money. You cannot serve God and mammon. And many people for money are denying that Jesus have come back to life. And it's just a parenthesis in maybe it can be interesting. I think you all have heard or seen or read the Code of Leonardo da Vinci, and is based on on many lies, and it's not because the church is saying so, but some other historians and scientists have proved that he is saying everything that it's lie over lie. or fantasy or fiction just. But I am not going in this. Just to say that there was one place in France, Ret-le-Château, where it was supposed that they have found the holy grave, or the holy the chalice, Saint Graal. But they are saying that this, you can also say the blood, Sangreal, um, and it all came from one priest who was making a lot of money. He wrote in different newspapers that he have a roof, or the church that is leaking, and he needs renovation and so on, and he is taking all the intentions of masses. He is poor, and the parish is poor, so he is celebrating every day, and he can take all the intentions, and he put this information in many different newspapers, or in different churches and so on. So hundreds of people were sending every day him letters with money for the intention. Uh, Probably he have not celebrate one of these masses, but to justificate in some case, in some way, all this money that he had, he invented that this legend that he find something, a big treasure, and this big treasure was some big money, or someone is saying that to keep secret this treasure that he found, that he had received money from the Vatican, that he was in some way also lived with all his money. And one of this legend that that he found the grave of Jesus, the grave of the Lord. So just to say how for the money, also in our time we can just deny the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So just this is just to, so we can come in this, because of money there are a lot of people denying resurrection of Jesus Christ. Also a lot of people want to others to deny, or paying for this with their time, with to could say no, it has no happened. So for example, Muslims have make a movie about Jesus, showing that he was just a prophet, and showing that his grave was also the communist for they have tried to find, they have gave money, a lot of money to some scientists to find the grave of Jesus, to show that it's all invention by the church and so on. So also there are a lot of movies, even so-called documentaries or scientific documentaries, that are showing the grave of Jesus, and how it was hidden by the Vatican and so on. So, but it's not so much about this, because it's really interesting to see this deny, and how much people are ready to pay to do just to show that this is not true, because of some political vision, because of power, as the priest was also not willing to accept the resurrection, because they wanted to keep power, also to could show we were right. So many times, just to show that we are right, we are saying we are going against what has happened. But we can also deny the resurrection, and I think it's also helpful to come in this Eastern time, seeing that we can deny, for example, saying not willing to say no to some sin, If you remember when we were beginning the Lent, the period of fasting preparation for, so one of the readings was saying, God was saying to people of Israel, um, I don't want the fasting that you are doing now, that you are just in an external way, not eating, for example, meat or not eating something else or make some good deed just for God. But I want that you take away the unjust relationship or contracts that have that unjust contracts. um, so many times we don't want to hear about resurrection. We are ready to deny it because there is some sin in our life or some relationship that is sinful that we don't want to give up. Because if it's true that Jesus have come back from death, if it's true that he is the Son of God, if it's true that the resurrection is it's true, so I must change. Because if he is God, if he is saying to not do something, so so I don't want to hear about this, because I don't want, for example, a person that is hurting me or pushing me or inviting me to do some bad things, to live in a sinful way, but I am not ready to give up of this. So I don't believe in resurrection. I don't want to hear about this. It's for sure just an invention of the priest of the priest of the church and so on. So this is one way of saying, but also maybe there is some unjust contract that we have. For example, from work, if the work is making you always work at Sunday, maybe it's something unjust. Maybe it's something that is taking you away from God. Yes, of course, in this time, especially in the virus time, we must keep the work that we have. Really? You must? I am not saying to just drop everything and so on to, but this is what God was saying. And maybe we don't want to believe in the resurrection because it's something there that we are not yet ready to give up. Yes, at word we are very good. We are saying, I would like to change. I would like to convert. I would like that God makes me free from this, but not today. As Augustine was saying also in his book, I was praying, God, change me, but not today. So this is maybe one of the reasons that we are denying the resurrection. Another reason that is very often, very maybe much more common, or even it's more difficult to see, that we don't want to give up to be in some way a victim of others. And we are saying, because my father had this done this to me, or have not done this, or have not been present, or have touched me in a bad way, or have not touched me, or my mother, so I am for whole life I will be unhappy. I will be in this bad situation. I cannot be happy because of this. And we have our identity in this. I know because I have lived many years as a victim. I was seeing myself as the one that is unjust treated, me, my family, my nation, and so on, the other group, the good people. So I was building many times my whole identity just on this, that I am victim. But Jesus was a victim. He took on him to be forgotten, to be sold. We are seeing to be sold like a slave. The most economical, we could say, thing to buy for for a human being, the worst price ever. But he accepted this. he accepted to be unjust treated, beaten, put in the cross, sold by his own disciples, denied, but we cannot accept it. So we are denying the resurrection. Because if it's true that Jesus have shown that this form of love is the truth, and for that he came back to life, he resurrected. So we are like take someone is taking from us our being victim. Maybe you see your life just because your parents was so bad to you, or because the teacher have always favorized others, or because your parish priest, could be me, have forgot about you, or not calling you, or not asking you to help in the church in some way, or because your children don't talk to you, don't remember you, or because your brother is never calling you, or he is calling other people before calling you. And we whole time come back to this, and we whole time keep our being victims. And maybe that's why we deny the resurrection. So this is just an invitation, a starter for this Passover week, for this week of one day, because it's so big a feast that we cannot hold it in one day. So it's 8 days of celebrating of Easter. Also in the liturgy, and I am finishing, we are saying today Jesus come back to life. And we were saying this yesterday, we were saying it today during the Mass, we will say it tomorrow and whole week. So during this whole week, I hope to could make these small movies to follow these testimonies of the mystery, as this book is saying. So see you hopefully another day. God bless. Bring the joy of resurrection to everyone. Christ have risen.